get the chat. But yeah, I'm in the chat now. I just popped out
All
the
right,
chat.
cool. So we're live now, so that'll work. But
Yeah, I just untabbed it and moved it to my second monitor, and I'm gonna just
cool.
mute.
Hey, LaShawn's in the stream.
All right.
So what's good, LaShawn?
Yeah, I see a delay in it already.
Yeah, there's a delay. So there's a delay
Mhm.
on StreamYard, but there's not one if you have the real chat. So what I do is normally pause the video and then go from there. So we got a couple of people coming in. So I just want to just say this real quick. So this podcast is going to be a little bit different. Savage and I know that we can go, so far into coding that people just are going to want to leave that are from the actual like phone tech community. We're going to try to make this fun and then slowly integrate the people that are going to be doing development. So today, all we have on that we're probably going to talk about, we're going to talk about the Signal app that a lot of people were talking about in the phone community with this whole thing with WhatsApp. So I'll talk about that. I'm going to talk about some of the development program platforms that are used and are currently being kind of abandoned. And then I'm going to have Savage go through data structure. So one thing I want to point out to everybody that's watching. So for me, it's very fun in the sense that I have access to Savage because we recognize as engineers that have done this for a long time, we recognize in our community the people that you can just kind of throw at a problem or put in different environments and they're going to excel. And that's what Savage is, and that's what he brings to the table. So it's great to have him a part of the podcast. So the first thing I want to talk about is going to be CentOS. But first, Savage, how are you doing?
Man, I'm chilling. What up,
Chilling?
everybody? Yeah.
I'm liking the glasses, man. Those are
Oh yeah,
dope.
man. Man, I'm just coming out the matrix.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk a little bit about CentOS going away, but I want to really talk about where we come from a development perspective. So I'll give mine, then I'm going to ask you yours. Okay. So I started coding probably when I was anywhere from 12 to 14. I was very fortunate that my parents bought me a Apple IIc, and I started programming right away. Okay. So I've been programming for quite some time. When I got to college, I was like, I'm definitely not going to program. I taught myself BASIC when I was 12, did it all the way through high school, got to college, and then I had college professors saying, hey, learn this archaic language. Like we're actually, it was just ridiculous. Like I actually had a computer that I built at the time, and they're making me use methods that were done back in the 70s. So I didn't think I was going to program. So then what I did was I got an internship where I actually programmed a real language like I learned when I was growing up, and the rest is kind of history. So I do development for my job. I help a lot of my customers automate test plans. So that's it for me. Savage, how did you get into development?
I actually wanted to be a game programmer.
Okay.
I used to tinker around with VCRs. That was the first thing I programmed. The old Toshiba 1986 VCR. And that's how I learned the logic behind programming. And
Mhm.
so I realized how difficult game programming is, and that it is very in depth. But
Mhm.
you know, when you come into this type of field, you're gonna run into some hurdles with
Yes.
with a lot of these companies not diverse. They don't really care to have a diverse staff. So
Correct.
you have to do something to stand out. And I have an IT background too, and I just recently got hired at IBM to be a developer with C Sharp. I still haven't written a line of code yet for them because of the pandemic. They have me on this New York State project where I'm answering
Mm.
calls for the Department of Labor. And in the meantime, I'm just learning the IBM way, getting into some of the agile framework and just how they structure they systems. But really, if a better job come along, I'm quitting.
Okay.
I'm
All
glad they
right.
not
Hey,
hear that. But yeah.
yeah. I understand. I understand. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my customer base, and it kind of mirrors what's going around just the United States. So bottom line is most companies have a server, right? They have to use a server, whether it's for mail, hosting web pages, or what have you. And most of those servers are built um, using Ubuntu, Red Hat Linux, and CentOS. Okay, and all CentOS is Red Hat Linux for free.
Hmm.
It's just a repackaging of Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Okay, so it's renamed Community Enterprise System. And what's been happening, or what was announced, was they were going to do a new model where Red Hat Linux would be tried and true, and then they make exact clone of that. I'll just say it like this: an exact clone of that, and release it for free. So a company could buy one license, and then they could have 10 free licenses of CentOS or
Yeah.
CentOS.
Yeah. All right.
So what ended up happening is they said, you know what? Why are we doing this extra work when we could actually have a layer right before that? So we have this layer before that. We'll put CentOS here and put Rel here, and this will be our bug finder, and then we'll give you this next release. Well, that would be just like if I say to you, "Hey, I'm gonna buy you a home server, but I'm gonna give you all these 3 home servers," and then all of a sudden I come back to you and say, "Hey, you know that one server, and you've been using 5? All of them you have to pay for." So that's where we're at. So a lot of the way it affects my customers, most of my customers might have one Red Hat Linux license and 10 CentOS licenses. So that affects their development because they have to go find a whole nother OS, so some of them are porting over to Ubuntu, but that's all these hours that they have to set up. Like when you talk about gaming development is hard, well,
Yeah.
just things like installation is hard. Like I've got all these systems working with all the packages working right. Now I got to go to uncharted waters and see if they still work.
All right.
So the reason why I brought it up is it's a big thing happening. Have you actually ran your own server at home before,
No, I
Savage?
never had to.
You never had to? Did you ever use it at work or?
Well, I set up servers. I set
Okay.
well the one I set up was some old Windows 2003 servers. And the people in the chat, I mean, what servers y'all been running? And
Oh yeah, yeah. Lewis, I think Lewis said he used to do network administration. So I'm
yeah,
curious to see what he says.
yeah, Shay is in here,
Yep.
LaShawn, and so I think that's everybody.
Hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, this is a technical thing, and it's good for us to work on our technical skills because you only could. I mean, phones are only probably 0.1% of tech. I mean, tech is a big umbrella. I mean,
Hmm.
programming is probably about 10% of tech.
Yep.
Everything is interconnected somehow.
Everything is interconnected, and pretty much
Do all this,
the
you'll really become a beast.
and the thing that kind of separates phones nowadays is really not the hardware as much as people want to make it like, oh, Apple has a faster processor or this one. It's really the software or the programming of that
Mhm.
phone. You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So that's what really separates us.
yeah, it's just like how LG looked like they rushed their calculator app, but Samsung put a little more time into making it
Exactly.
work. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. So when you know what I thought about, and unfortunately they fixed it, so there's no reproducing this. But when you were doing your calculator video, it made me think of, this was about 4 or 5 years ago. Apple had released, I forget which iOS it was, and they didn't fix it for a whole nother release. So if you went and you were like 2 plus 5, but if you just said 2 plus 5, you would get the right answer. If you went 2 plus 5, like you would normally type, it would calculate wrong. So people were getting wrong answers because there wasn't enough delay, or there was too much delay on the input side. So like when you press a button, it took too much time to grab it. So it might have
2 plus 5 would probably be 20, 25.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh man, that's screwed up.
Oh yeah, it was totally, and it was like that for a year. And that goes back to what we're talking about. Simple developer, a developer that is going to be checking and troubleshooting all of his coding is going to catch that. Someone that is like under a time crunch and not spending time, like you just said. Would you say the key word was this company spent more time and the development team didn't spend time to get it out, release it, boom, and you have this big error on a simple thing like a calculator app.
Exactly.
So, and I understand people's point, well, just download the right calculator. Well, you didn't know you were getting the wrong answers. Why would you download it? Until you find out later that you were getting the wrong answers.
So it looked like Lou just said he did one internship.
Okay. And it was hard for him to find. Yeah.
If you rush, bro, the only thing you got to do is put a virtual box on your system and run some VMs and that's it, man.
Absolutely. VirtualBox is key. So I actually have VirtualBox on all of my Windows-based PCs, and I always have Red Hat Linux. I always have a Windows 10 development, where I can just go in and play. And I have other flavors of Linux at all times in VirtualBox. And that way I keep my skills up,
Exactly. Man, I've been polishing my Linux skills because my master's project is on Linux, but man, they got so much. I mean, really, you're not a real Linux user unless you good with the command line.
Yeah, I agree. They've gotten it to the point where you can live outside the command line, but I'm with you. I'm all about command line. So like I was, even when Windows first came about, like Windows 3.1 to me was a joke. You always had to get out and go to the MS-DOS prompt. But even until they fully took out MS-DOS, I always lived in the command prompt, even in Windows. So it's just much more power that you have access to than dragging and dropping a mouse.
Yeah, it is, man. I'm telling you, man. Like you could create 500 users.
Exactly.
And you could do it programmatically. Programming is so important.
It's so important.
Learning this logic and just how programming languages work. Once you learn one, you're gonna understand it for all languages, because all languages incorporate some idea of a variable. Like you said in the variable video.
Yep.
It's always gonna be a variable in control structures. That stuff like loops and all that. Did you do I know you said you were gonna talk about loops. Did you do that video?
So in the next, so I have 3 videos that are come out back to back. If statement, for loops. I did a for loop, but I'm explaining it in detail. But I'm also going to do while and do loops as well. So that way everybody gets the structure. So this is the thing. One thing that Savage pointed out, and it's key, is this looping function. So when I started, so everybody likes it now when they turn on their phone, right? They go to the App Store, they download a game, they go to Microsoft, they download a game and all that stuff. Well, growing up in the 80s, that wasn't that. If I wanted to play a game, I would have to put a disc in my Apple IIc. I would then wait like 30 minutes. Then I would have to send all these commands to go from game to game. Like I was physically at the command line so I could start a game. And that's how I got into programming, because I was like, I'm not going to do this every time. So I wrote a code for each disk that I had. When it came up, it popped up a menu. And that menu was like Barry's game selector. And then I would have press 1 to load load runner, press 2 to load dig dug, all that stuff. And now I even had it to where as soon as I press the button, exactly. And it was a loop too, because like let's say if I press the wrong button, it would pop right back up, like, hey, you entered the wrong thing, so it was looping the whole time until I selected something. And I also had exit if I wanted to just get out of everything. So that's the thing that people miss.
Program there, man.
Oh yeah, it was a great program, and that's the thing that they miss when they see the capabilities. Like everything that we're doing is coding. When we interact with our PC, our MacBook, everything is code. If you're editing a video, hey, that program didn't write itself. It was the developer that wrote that.
Yeah, we got Mike in the stream too. But yeah, it's you could do everything in a command prompt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really getting to the point where I have some hacking equipment over there, and
Yeah.
I can't say I'm about to hack into my neighbor's Wi-Fi, but if they piss me off, I'm probably gonna boot them off their Wi-Fi. And they have a lot of techniques that you could use to capture people's password. If you ever go to DEF CON, that's the
Yes.
hacking.
Yes, that's a hacking convention. Yeah, that's a hacking convention.
They say do not bring your cell phones, or if you bring them, keep it off.
Exactly.
They hacking into each other's stuff.
Keep talking because you just made a great segue. But
yeah, that's it.
Okay, so yeah, so that gets us to Signal, right? And you talked about DEF CON and how the hackers can write software, right, to hack into phones and stuff like that. So this week there was a big announcement that WhatsApp was going to change their privacy policy. So basically they were going to have conversations, and they were really business conversations. We're going to be shared with Facebook, but everybody wrote it as my personal conversations are going to be shared now with Facebook, instead of being blocked from Facebook, right? So that brought up all these privacy concerns. So Signal stock actually went up, right? So Signal came back to the forefront, and it was like, hey, it's encrypted. They're not controlled by like Twitter or social media where they have to send the information. So the thing that people miss is just because you're using a secure messaging system, you have to think about your device. When you have a cell phone, your cell phone, when it turns on, and it immediately goes, hey, let me go out to this base station. I'm here. This is my ID. This is everything. This is where I'm at. So don't turn your cell phone on and be like, hey, I'm on the other side of town, so and so, and then someone that that you're talking to finds up dead, because they're gonna trace. Oh, you said you was over here. Why'd you say that? You see what I'm saying? So every second, like if you have the Google Play services, if you have just normal iOS, as private as they are, there is a developer that has written and gotten it approved. And I'm not saying for conspiracy theories, I'm for pure marketing perspective. Hey, Signal Home. And this is independent of the base station. This is just, I've got a data link. Hey, this is where I'm at. I need to be able to talk to this guy because I want to send him ads. So like if you're at a Black Lives Matter protest, or you're at a Stop the Steal protest, if you're out there doing some crazy stuff, you are tracked big time. So that's what I think people miss. They think I'm using a secure and I'll say it like this. So you got hackers that can, like a DEF CON that could hack into this, right?
Yeah.
But let's say, for instance, Savage, me and you are in the same spot, and there's like 5 people that have Wi-Fi access. And I say, I'm going to use Signal to do all my communication. And you're like, everybody else says, I'm not going to use Signal. And I'm saying, hey, I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence. And it gets stolen, and all of your stuff is wide open. They're going to come to me. It's like, well, we know you were in that area and it was encrypted, but no one, wait a second here. No one else was saying anything about this. So it got to be, there's other ways to find, because this is always reporting your location through some type of way. It's always, someone's going to figure out where you're coming from. So that's where I stand with all the phone stuff and security. Let me see what oh
But
yeah.
you know,
So Lewis made a comment that Elon Musk made.
how to get around that type of thing.
Exactly.
It'll probably be you. I mean, it'll still be very difficult, but you will have to buy. I mean, really, if you want to do something like that, just do like watch Breaking Bad first, and
Yeah.
just get one of those disposable phones that you can throw away after.
And true criminals, that's what they do.
Mhm.
Wannabes, but true criminals are doing, that's why they're just, what they call them, trap phones. It's a get it, boom, and they dump phones
Yeah,
because as soon as you turn it on, it's exactly, they break it in half, make a quick call, break it in half and go, because this is constantly sending out. And the only way to avoid this is if you put a custom ROM on this and you don't install Google Play services, then you're limited. That's the only way it's going to not keep reporting back. And this is not to say Google is bad. Google is a development house. They are an ad company. They want to send you information.
Yeah.
Right? You see what I'm saying? The same with Apple. Apple wants you to buy their products just because it might not be as intrusive as other companies. They want you, they're hoping that you buy stuff.
I mean, I mean, if Apple wanna, I mean, ain't nothing stopping Google from selling ads to Apple.
Exactly. Yep. So one thing too, I want to segue to as well. So we know LaShawn recently got Nanoleafs. So this is another example of development. It used to be, right, growing up, you had a light. You get 60 watt, you get 100 watt. You know what I'm saying? Different wattage levels, but you weren't changing the colors. You weren't telling them a certain time unless you had like those manual timers and all that stuff. So now you have the capability of having a light that you control the color temperature, the color itself. When it comes on, it's connected and it's live. So you can say, hey, time to start the stream, and they all come on, right? So that is sophisticated programming that is in these lights. The lights actually have intelligence now where they can accept programming commands to do certain things. And I know you said you were kind of interested in maybe picking up the Nanoleafs as well.
Yeah. Is LaShawn in the chat?
I'm not sure if LaShawn is still in.
That Nanoleaf, that array he got on the wall. I mean,
Oh man, it looks good, man. And so you had to leave early from last night's stream. So the thing that was so cool about LaShawn, he had, like at the very end of his streams, he goes and does some stuff. So he had turned all the lights down, and you just saw that Nanoleaf pulsing, man. It was really cool. So yeah, it's fun. I think all of us want those Nanoleafs now.
Oh yeah, man. It's nice, man. I mean, I've been trying to find, like, it's just that the stuff is so expensive, man. I mean, I have I'll need 100 to cover my board. In my most recent video, you should see that board, and what I have back is just a LED panel.
Yeah.
But I want to replace that with Nanoleafs.
Yeah.
And eventually I will, but it's $1,200.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I don't want to just. I want it all or nothing.
Well, after the stream, I'm gonna pull up a couple of websites for you because there's a couple of things that I'm gonna show you real quick too. Like you can get Nanoleafs and then use something else in place of certain things. So but I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, but
at first I was looking at the hex. I think that's hexagons that.
Yeah, those are the hexagon. Yep.
The hexagon's a little bigger. So
yeah, so remember he's got a lot of distance behind him. So he's got about, I want to say that's like anywhere from 5 to 7 feet. So those ones that he had originally, like if you didn't have that much distance, those could work. You see what I'm saying? So those are really meant for like if you have like a backdrop right behind you, but when you're far like LaShawn, you gotta have something that are bigger. I think they're like 9 inches wide or something like that.
Oh yeah, and I saw some of the things like Nanoleaf, but man, it's just like things like some of them, Nanoleaf, they they know they have a great product, and those
Yeah.
and them things are nice, man. The size is
Yeah,
all.
yeah, they're perfect.
And
They're
then you go
perfect.
touch them and stuff, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
They do everything.
And the thing that what I like about them is the capability to be dimmed, because a lot of times the lights are too overpowering. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the oh, I'm getting my money's worth by getting well, if you're streaming, you really don't want a lot of light coming from back.
Yeah.
You know, you need your main light up front, and then those should just be ambiance, right? So yeah, his setup looks great.
Oh yeah, man. And the walls kind of, I mean, like an artist would love all that stuff. Like how the angle of the walls take you
Hmm.
straight into
Yes.
in the middle of the focus.
Hmm.
That's some other level stuff, man. That's
Yeah, yeah. It's he's got a nice little setup.
mhm.
He's got a
Yeah,
nice
I
little
think
setup.
everybody stepped up their game last year.
I think so too. I think so too. You know. Um, so yeah, so that's the one thing, you know, we talking about development. I think probably by the end of this year, everybody's gonna have a setup where either on their phone, they're turning on their stream stuff, or they're just asking Google to turn it on. Whereas that wasn't happening like 5 or 6 years ago. You could have something like the X10 that it was kind of kludgy and all that stuff, but not as seamless. The development that's gone behind all this stuff is just incredible.
Yeah, and even StreamYard, man, StreamYard
Oh
came a
my
long
God.
way, man. This thing
StreamYard has
used
come a
to
long
be,
way.
oh yeah, man. StreamYard used to be garbage. Well, at
Yep.
least I mean it was. I mean, they still have a lot of problems with it, but man, when Hangouts went away, man, it was you only could have 3 people on there. Oh no, 4 people. It's it's gotten a lot better,
Yep.
and that's partially because of that competition from Zoom.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
Now I'm happy with StreamYard. I'm probably gonna use it for all these. I know there's some competing things, but I'm probably just gonna stick with StreamYard.
yeah. I have a video on my channel about that too. You know,
Oh, nice.
it's weird that like I have a lot of videos where I was kind of almost. I'm not gonna say I predicted a lot of this, but I did a video right after right after Hangouts went away, and I was talking about alternatives to Hangout. And
Hmm.
Zoom was one. I
Hmm.
think I mentioned StreamYards and some other program, and then now everything
Yep.
is Zoom. I mean Hangouts and
Yep.
no, I mean StreamYards and Zoom.
Yep. Um, so it's almost 3:30, and I was gonna see when you were thinking about talking a little bit about your data structures video.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's just part one.
Okay, that's
So
just part one. Okay.
yeah, part one. Before you could talk about data structures, you have to understand what is a data structure.
Yeah.
It is a way of structuring data by the name, but also it's more than just like you can't really talk about graphs, trees, and all these other data structures, even arrays, without learning what you're gonna put in these data structures.
Yeah.
That's why I started off with data types. And so we have basic data types. That's integer values. That's mathematically computational values where you could increment, decrement,
Hmm.
multiply. You could use arithmetic functions on this data. And one of the big things is why I even use this thing. We got Ray in the house. Well, you
Yeah.
can't say something like the word five cannot. You can't just say plus the number one is gonna be
Exactly.
6. So,
Exactly.
so it's either you have the word five or you have the number five.
Hmm.
And something that simple could become a nightmare when programming because each language implement that stuff different. And some languages like Python, it declare values on the spot. And like if you're using something like one of my favorite languages, C, you have to declare like integer int to do that.
Hmm.
And
Exactly.
if you ever get into assembly language programming, it's even worse.
Yep.
That's some of the
So
stuff that I'll be talking about on my channel.
That's good. I don't know if you saw Ray popped in and he said,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and that's true. Snowden was all on. He was told people a while ago to use Signal. I've had Signal on my phone for years. I forget how many years. So yeah,
So
we
yeah,
appreciate you coming through, Ray.
Signal. But another thing is, if I was gonna, like, if I'm think that if I'm doing something where is that critical to not have anyone in my conversation, then I'm going payphone.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
I'm gonna just arrange a way to
Yep.
ahead of time to do this.
Exactly.
Go back to the old school.
Exactly. And so the way I look at it, that's what
other
I'm saying. And I
yeah.
don't know if Ray feels the same way, but that's exactly how I feel as well. Like, I take pride in knowing that I'm being tracked. So I use Google Pay because every time I go swipe somewhere, there's a record, there's a location I was at and all that stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, if I'm trying to be incognito, my phone is not going to be with me.
Yeah,
You see, my phone,
even if you
exactly,
on the line, anything, your phone,
exactly. If you,
your phone is just like a license plate. You
it's
will,
exactly.
I mean, they're gonna find you.
They're gonna know your location. They're gonna know everything based off of just turning that phone on, So,
I took
but
a course last year on mobile communication, and we actually saw how those towers, like the cell phone towers, and a thing is, even if you're using an app, I really
Mhm.
don't. I mean, if it was a something like somebody just robbed a Loomis truck or something like that, and even
Mhm.
if you think, I mean, I even think even stuff like Signal app is not foolproof from
Oh,
a
nothing's foolproof.
in-depth investigation.
Yeah, nothing is foolproof except for not having your phone turned on.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's foolproof.
You
Or
have to
your
you
phone is
have
at
to have
home.
it coordinated.
Exactly. And that's where
The
people need to
those
be educated. They
communication.
need to be educated and understand that your phone is tracking you, and it's not, oh, this is Big Brother looking in. It's like, no, companies want to make money off of you. They're trying to get paid. And that can be used against you. Their marketing can be used against you because a court is going to say, hey, I want those records.
Yeah, exactly.
We know you're advertising to them. So, like, to give you an example, this is one thing um, um, that happened back in the day. So right now we're kind of beyond this, but when it was called a WAP push. So back when GSM was, starting out, the way they wanted, if you ever looked at iRobot, if you ever saw, like, when he was first walking down, like when it first started, like he
Yeah.
was walking by things and it was being advertisements and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
the way they wanted it to go, marketers, as your phone went from store to store, like you're in Macy's or you went to Dick's Sporting Goods, when you got to a certain section, all of a sudden you would get a push to your phone that said, and it was basically an MMS message that said, hey, we have this on sale. So
Mhm.
what ended up happening is, if you look up Birdine's Macy's from years ago, they were using it to their advantage, where they're making to the point where some of the people would go into Macy's and Birdine's, they would never go to other stores because they had figured out their customer so much. And someone came in and said, hey, we can't have this. We understand trying to get, marketing, sending mailers and all that stuff, but you're using basically artificial intelligence to steer people to your store, and everybody else don't have your technology. You know what I'm saying? And who would have thought Macy's and Birdine's would have that kind of capability?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so that's,
I didn't know that story was that deep,
oh
man.
yeah, it was deep, man. It was deep, so
Yeah,
um
man, that was.
exactly. But just think
That just
about it. You just
reminded me
didn't
of,
you
like, I'm just
Oh yeah,
walking
because
through.
what they were doing is and if you really think about it, it doesn't have to be that sophisticated. Let's say, for instance, I walk into Macy's and
Mhm.
I get a WAP push that says, hey, buy XYZ. Okay. So I get this push that says this. All they had to do was look at who was buying. So then they knew, once they looked at the data that no other store had, they could go, well, shoot, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. And next thing you know, people coming in there, boom, hit them. Like even if they're just walking through, hit them, boom, buy this. Oh, I already spent my money. I'm going home.
If they know you're gonna buy it, they will give you a small enough discount to make it $1 cheaper to go
Exactly.
there.
Exactly. So yeah, so that's why, like I said, I know we're not talking the phone like, hey, this is a Pixel 5 and all that stuff. We're talking more of what's going on in the phone and all that stuff. But to me, it's interesting because it's something that affects us on a daily basis. The phones are getting better, not just because of the hardware. They're getting better because of the software experience. And developers like you and I are always going to contribute to that, to that experience. So sorry to get sidetracked, but when Ray came in and saw that,
human computer interaction. That is the part of computer science that deals with. I mean, it's really psychology, computer science, and some other stuff. But that's really the area that deals with how people use devices and how to make it so people have a pleasurable time using that device. And that could be something as simple as having it so if you right-handed, having it so you have most of the functionality on the right side. I can't tell you how much how mad I used to be having to stretch my thumb across the phone, to get to the dialing button. But now they made launchers so you could move all these buttons around to where you wanted it.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, I remember how good HTC was a pioneer with the way they had their dock. Like they had a dock in the middle, but it was wide enough that you could get to it from either side.
Yeah.
The original HTC Sense, and then they went to this dock like thing like everybody else used. I mean, that's standard now, but that's kind of like the beginning of me starting to use Go Launcher.
Yes.
And then they need to really just rename that crap. I mean, we allowed to cuss on here?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, man, Go Launcher is shit, man. But eventually I went to Nova. I went Go Launcher, the Apex, the Nova. And it's like if you could put Nova Launcher on it, I don't have to deal with the stock launcher. And if I had stock Android, I'd put Nova Launcher on it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So so I use the Pixel launcher, but on non-Pixel devices, I used to always use Nova, but I switched to Launcher, and I really like Launcher now. Yep. So, but I know what you mean. That's the thing. I always have my launcher set up in the fact that I can get everything easy with one thumb movement. And that's okay. Ray said he uses Nova.
Yeah, Ray. Yeah. Yeah. He agreed with the HTC thing. Yeah. HTC, man. I mean, since like, I didn't even know what Samsung wasn't calling it junk touch whiz at the time. But yeah, man, it's like, I never wanted a Samsung because I tested it out I had the original Galaxy S1 and that thing was terrible. And then I went back to HTC. I started off with the HTC Evo 5, Evo 4G. That's a whole nother thing. I'm surprised. How did Sprint not get into a nationwide class action lawsuit when they were charging people for 4G when they didn't even have it out?
Yeah.
And sometimes I just Google that Sprint 4G class action lawsuit. Nobody wanted to touch them. I'm like, man.
No. But HTC really had they really had the game on lock, man. And they own Sprint stores. You know what I'm saying? So they usually had the best product there, and then they started getting competition from my phone.
They were, HTC, Man, I miss HTC.
Oh yeah, like the M7 series and all that stuff. Yeah. So yeah, it's frustrating to see them kind of go. Big House posted a couple of days ago about a new HTC. It's a budget model, but that's all they've been doing is doing budget models, So he's like, hopefully this means they're back. It's like, we'll see, man.
Yeah, man. That'd be great, man. HTC foldable.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that HTC One, man, that thing was nice. Man, I mean, that hard metal phone they had, that thing was a thing was
Yeah,
great.
Ray has a point. So actually, you know what? Ray, what service did you have? Put it in the chat. I'm just curious what service did you have? Because I had Sprint during that time, and for calls, Sprint was good because they would always roam on the Verizon, but data was like what Ray's talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was the thing. Yeah, that sound like Sprint.
That it sounds like
Sprint
Sprint.
charged,
Yeah.
Sprint charged us for like I was paying $200 a month for a non-existent 4G service. Oh,
Oh, he had
Verizon.
Verizon. Okay.
Oh, so Verizon was doing the same thing?
I
Oh
guess
no,
they
that was
were.
just marketing crap. Hmm.
Yeah, I think he's just talking about the marketing. Yeah. Yeah, that's how it is, man. Um, that's the reason why I kind of talk to people about 5G.
Yeah,
Yes, Lewis,
that
Lewis,
boom sound, man, that boom sound was.
that boom sound was unbelievable.
I heard it, but man, when the HTC One came, wasn't that thing called the HTC One 7? That was HTC
It was the
One,
M7.
that phone.
Oh my God, man. Yeah, man.
That phone that
It
came
was like
out.
aluminum. It was like aluminum.
Yeah,
It was thin, had good breath. Yeah, that
the only thing I did, and I had that phone for a week. The only thing the only thing I didn't like about it was they didn't have a home button. So I
mm-hmm.
went back to Samsung.
Yep.
And the only thing they had to do, I mean, because they had people hack the phone a little bit, so they had this spot right above the HTC logo that acted as a home button. But it's like they wanted to put some type of capacitive sensor in the HTC logo, but it must have cost too much, or they didn't do
Mm-hmm.
it. And that's the type of stuff that these people do. They come short of brilliance. If they
Yes.
would have had that, then I would have been an HTC person, and probably everybody would have went to HTC, or everybody who enjoyed the home button. I mean, but there was a revolutionary shift at the time to go away from the home button, and
Mm-hmm.
now companies. I mean, Samsung stopped with the home button with the Galaxy S8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that thing
Yep.
is called M1. Yeah, the M1. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. That was a night. I love. I totally agree.
M9 was better though. The
Yeah,
M9 was.
that was
I
good.
mean,
Yeah, they all
that,
were good.
oh, that M9 was. That
Gee,
thing was
HTC was killing it. They were killing it, man.
I mean, the aesthetics, man. I mean, that made it so the only way that you could compete with that was Samsung came out with the glass,
Yep,
and that kind of that did it for them.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
Boom
those
sound,
were some good times.
man, that was when phones were. I mean, that was probably that was the rise of the slate phone. That's when it
Yeah,
really was.
yeah, they took over right then and there. Yep, yep. You had LG still kind of. They were still doing. They had like the curve, like the ones that would be curved almost.
Yeah, oh yeah, that curve thing. That was
Yeah,
LG. It just seemed like LG at least they found a little spot in the
they
game.
found a little.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, yep, that's what they did. They found their little niche finally. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, I remember I was like, I look at LG, I was like, nah, I'm gonna get this HTC. So,
Uh-huh.
but
But and one of the things I like about HTC is like LG had the tap to wake feature.
mhm.
I mean, nobody did that better than LG until HTC started doing it, and they were good with it.
Yep.
Samsung tap to wake features is straight up trash.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I haven't had a Samsung in a while, but I just know back in those days, it really turned me off of Samsung. I always thought their phones looked great. But man, when I would play with TouchWiz at the time, I was like, oh my God. So I want to get one just so I can not have this bias against, Samsung. So
Yeah, I do have a video that I froze a phone, so stay tuned to that one too.
okay.
Yeah, I actually filmed that video last week. Yeah, Lou got it, the knock feature. It was called knock code and knock on. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Ray said the Moto X also had the knock feature. Now I haven't owned the Apple yet. Well, I've used the Apple phone, but do Apple have a knock on feature or some type of knock to wait?
They do now. So it was released. I think it was iOS 13. So it's called back tap. You can't do it like what you're thinking. But you can hit the back of it, the device, and it'll do a function.
Oh man, that is
Yeah,
man, that is
it's
that
pretty
is
cool.
you
Yeah,
know the thing about Apple, they gonna find a way to reinvent something. I mean, that is
yeah.
man. But my thing is like, so if you tap the back of the phone you still gonna that's just gonna turn the screen on.
Wait, no, you can make it. It's called back tap, but you can have it do certain things for you.
All right.
Yeah, certain actions by back tapping.
If I was a phone developer, this is what I would design.
Mm-hmm.
I would put a trigger on the side of the phone, a button that slide. Just imagine, I knew you probably had an Alpine radio, huh? Like if you want to turn
Oh,
the
Alpine, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
you just touch that slider on the left side, man.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine that. So the button to
Mm-hmm.
slide up, slide down, that'll be your volume. If you press the middle of the button, that's gonna make it so you can have a third action, like hang the phone up. So you could push in on that button and push up to get to your dialer. Hold that button, slide it down. So that'd be good. And it's just like they taking functions off of phones so much, man. I finally was able to hack my I finally hacked my LG G8 so I could end the phone call by using the uh the assistant button.
Yep. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So you see, Ray said it was too sensitive
All right. Double tap and triple
and
tap.
triple tap.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if Ray tried it with the triple tap. But yeah, they
Yeah.
are taking useful
I'm trying to
functions.
find my Samsung. Oh, I'm still here.
Oh yeah, no problem. So what I was gonna say is, speaking of useful features, and this goes back to development. If you notice the Google Now page over the years, I think they've gotten worse than they did in the past. It used to be you could
Google
swipe.
page is shit.
So you could swipe away, right? You could swipe away the articles. That now you have to hit the 3 dots and then say I want to remove it. They used to be more up to date. And one thing that I think they got too concerned about privacy, because they're still giving this information out.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that was so cool about the Google Now app was when you would drive somewhere, and let's say, for instance, you're like, hey, someone goes, hey man, I know we were going to meet here, but I'm going to go to this flea market. You show up at the flea market and it's like an amusement park. You park. I'm like, where did I park at? Google already knows where you park, and it would tell you on your phone, like, hey, you parked here, just so you let you know, and I'll remind you when you walk out. They took all those features away. They're like, no, why would we give you that? And it was so useful, to your everyday life. Like it would wake you up. Hey, this is your commute today. There's traffic on the way and all that stuff. It doesn't do that anymore. You just swipe. All that information was this.
Now?
Huh?
Is it part of Google, like the Assistant app or the
you can pull you can ask for that information in the Google Assistant app, but I don't think, and Tech for Your Needs, maybe he'll know, I don't think you can get where you park from the Google Assistant. I'll have to check that out.
All right.
But yeah, it was nice.
Know that you you know what, it pulled data from Google Maps.
Exactly. It pulls it from data.
Exactly.
Yep.
Man. Yeah, yep. I see what it's doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's some scary stuff though.
Yeah, and that's what it was. That's what people were scared. And I'm like, they're still getting that information anyway. But people I know, like, oh, this is Big Brother, So it's sort of like this thing with WhatsApp. Like, I can't use WhatsApp now because everybody's panicking, not knowing they could be on the phone right now. Yeah, make the drop right now. It's like, we got your location, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, Lewis said he lost his
Oh,
during Christmas, he lost. I'll put it up. He remembers Christmas week, lost his car keys. No, he lost his car. Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And then he was able to find it. Yep. That happens.
yeah. They
So
have
yeah,
chances, incidents where this kind of stuff is good, but like for that kind of stuff. But for the most part, man, you know, this stuff is really Big Brother.
it is.
And I mean, the thing is, I mean, they've been doing this even with landlines. They've been wiretapping. All this stuff
Exactly.
go back. I mean,
It
they got.
goes back.
If you want to do something illegal, you just have to know
Exactly.
the surface you're
Exactly.
working in.
And it's also for us law-abiding citizens to know this stuff, because you want to, since they are tracking you, you want your digital footprint to be in a position that it's exonerating you. You see what I'm saying? So like there's people that tell me all the time, I wouldn't use Google Pay because they're tracking you. Well, guess what? I want you to know where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not doing anything wrong. So boom, boom, boom. You know, I'm using it
Oh yeah,
everywhere. You know, you sure you don't have Google Pay? I want to make sure people know I'm here, you know.
I know.
So if
Banks use it a lot too. I was in Colorado about 3-4 years ago, and I swiped my card in a skimmer. I have a video coming up on that too. I swiped
yeah,
my card in the skimmer. The next day, I had these unauthorized charges on my card, and before they could continue using my card, the bank shut it off.
hmm,
So if you make it's like they if you make phone if you use your card in different spots, or even like when I registered my domain name, I mean, I couldn't use it because the bank instantly blocked it. So if your card is blocked, that means that business is shady. So for some reason, GoDaddy was considered a shady business to
yeah,
Chase Bank.
yeah, yep,
So you just have to set up and you should always have text alerts on your bank account, because soon I got that.
exactly.
I mean,
And I'm glad you mentioned that. So text alert on your bank account. But one thing that I'll just point out. So I switched over years ago. It didn't take me losing anything to switch me over. If you have a bank, and that bank, most of the times banks are archaic. They're like, we want SMS verification.
mm-hmm.
Try, when you're setting up that bank, try to have a Google Voice number. You know, a lot of banks don't support Google Voice numbers to send text messages, but try to get one, and also try to say to use an authenticator, because that's the worst. That is no way of security. It is SMS two-factor verification is not two-factor unless it's a Google Voice number. If it's a physical SIM, that is so easy for someone to steal. You see
No,
what I'm
I'm just
saying?
talking about like
Oh,
what
I
I was
know
doing.
you. No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I was just, since you were bringing it up, I was just making sure everybody that's listening, hears that as well. You see what I'm saying? Now, I know you know what you're doing. No, I was just
Oh, yeah, so
saying
you should always have two-factor authentication on your device. And if you do want to use your phone, like Barry said, you should have a secure phone number, because they could always
exactly,
spoof your phone number. But the thing that make it harder for them to spoof your phone number is that when like your number has it's kind of like an ID and your account information. So that would make it so they like will make it secure. But I mean, you could still hack the base station and do that. I mean, if you send them $1 million, $1 trillion, then they'll find a way to do it. But yeah, if you use something secure
well,
like Google Voice, but
yeah.
I never had that problem with 2FA.
So this is how I use. So I'll just show you how I do 2FA. So 2FA, I have Google Authenticator. I
Mhm.
also have, so you can buy a Titan security key, but anytime you have a Pixel, you have one built into the Pixel. So, or I use backup codes. And if I have to, I'll use my Google Voice. And in some places, that's what I have to do. The reason why I'm mentioning it is, if we look at the Capitol attack and we look at it just from a security standpoint, and we eliminate, let's say the cops had it all locked down and the people that were attacking were a sophisticated military outfit, right?
Mhm.
What happened, that was key. You have a congresswoman that was told, just like every other congresswoman and senator, do not reveal anything. If we ever get under attack, they were just told this, they were just briefed, do not reveal locations. And Nancy Pelosi just left her office. She just moved from chambers. She's reporting out to the people to come get her, basically. And what happens a lot of times is the T-Mobiles, the Verizons, the AT&Ts, they can be only as strong as their people. A lot of time, these SIM swaps are someone on the outside calling into the inside. Hey, Sap has got a lot of money, Hey, go ahead and give me that number. And all of a sudden you're walking with your phone and your phone goes silent. And then someone calls your bank and they call up crying, oh man, I can't remember. Can you change my password? And they're taking money out of your bank account.
Like, yeah. So that's
you see, because they'll use it,
Yeah, but
exactly.
Man, you got to have
But that's what those SIM swapper. And if everybody watches SIM swappers, that's how they do it. That's how these hackers do it. They are, built and designed to spend all day trying to get your stuff, So what do you say? Why make it easy? Yeah, this is what Lewis said. This is the point. Why make it easier? Let's make it hard to hack. And that is prime example. I totally agree, Lewis.
Yeah. So one of the good things is, like, if you get that, like if you want to sign into your bank account or you want to sign into any account, you know your password. You have a 16-character password. That's difficult enough. But then when you sign in, it's gonna ask you for a code that comes to your phone.
Yep.
So most likely there's probably a 99.9% chance that on that 0.01% is they do what Barry just said. Yep. They got a SIM swap.
Exactly.
If you carrying that kind of money, then in doing that kind of stuff, then really you should own your bank. Really, you got to be like Bill Gates.
There's people that have to. Yeah, there's people that they've gotten settlements because of this. Oh yeah,
I know their targets. They're not gonna spend that kind of money on my negative bank account. But if you got money, then I suggest that be that 1%.
Exactly. But also you got to remember too, like a lot of times when they're doing this, they might not be obvious and go, I just want Elon Musk, information. They'll go, give me a block. Like when they're doing this, calling on the inside to a rogue employee, give me this block of numbers that I can go after. And they just take those numbers, boom, 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 and just go through and get what they want and go to the next one. Yep. You see what I'm saying?
They're vulnerable too, because now for the state of New York unemployment office, I have access to if Fawcett Carter, if he dealt with the unemployment office,
you would have access to it. You would have. Yep.
And they locked that mainframe down with a RSA encryption. So and that's what I use. Well, that's how we log into the system. We get this code, like it'll be sent to our phone, and then we put in the RSA code. And most state agencies use something like that. Yep. It's just a security token. So we use tokens.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like, I hope, even though we're about to close, but I would like everybody to understand. Like, we have some people coming from just not the phone tech community. This channel or this podcast is really going to be focused on development, but we'll talk about some phone technologies and how development can aid. We'll talk about security. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about and address. It may be from a different perspective of the fun type of community or just phone tech in general, but we're going to give you our thoughts, and we hope that it's something that interests you, because Savage and I have been kind of in the development area for a long time.
Look what
I'm just telling you. So
wasn't that Swordfish that where they took 0.001?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You can skim off the top. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that you can do, and that's the reason we have to. So we may, maybe our next episode we might go more into security. and talk about like different examples like that, and just how to protect yourself. What's available now, and what are some programs that have been developed that can help you stay safe out here.
And really, to stay safe, you gotta know how to use it in a bad way.
Yeah,
so
you gotta know exactly.
That's why they hire hackers to break into networks to see if your network is actually secure. Of all names, they call those people penetration testers. If y'all never heard that word, just look it up when you get some time. They make a lot of money, and they and it's Linux based. That's why I suggest, if you want to be serious in tech, to understand a little bit of Linux. You don't have to be a ninja at the command line, but you got to at least know basic commands. And I'm gonna do a video one day on talking about some Linux commands. But I have to learn them good enough so I don't jack them up too.
So I put Miss Fuller's Sarah. So she runs a lot of her channel on Linux. So a lot of the stuff she does, a lot of streams where she has chill streams with music and all that. And I believe she's using Ubuntu Linux to run that now. So yeah, so that'll be good. So yeah, so as we progress, Savage and I will get together. It might bounce from his channel to my channel, doesn't matter, but we'll make sure that it's informative and it's something that you can use in your daily, even if it's just something as simple as pointing to you like, hey, I think everybody can use this Linux thing. It will make their life easier when it comes to doing your taxes or whatever it may be. But if we find something we're definitely going to have, we'll give you that option. So, hey, with that, it's 4:00 and I'm going to sign off now. But I just wanted to thank everybody for stopping through. You know, we did not expect, we just wanted to do a test run of what our podcast, and just to have people watch it at all was pretty impressive.
Hey, Miss Full Roller Coaster.
Miss Full Roller. Yep, she used the Linux.
When I see roller in a C, I automatically do an autocomplete say coaster. Sorry about gutting your name like that, but yeah, I just subscribed to your channel. I'm gonna be checking that out.
So just so I can just tell everybody that's in here, I don't believe Ray, you don't have a channel, right? So Swarthy does a lot of tech reviews, and it's not just only phones, right? So her channel's really good. We know Lewis here. Lewis has a tech channel. He does reviews. Swarthy also does escape games. So meaning she'll start a stream, and then it's like we have to work as a team. Sometimes we have to work, together. Miss Full Roller does a lot of different things, but also does chill streams where she just has music. So normally I'm streaming with LaShawn, so I'll miss it on Fridays, but I'll have it in the background. But tonight, if you want to go, Savage, I'll be there. At 9:30, she always does a music trivia stream. So I think today is the 70s again. So yeah, so I think so he did. Okay, so he's started over. Okay, cool. So so Ray, yeah, once you hit me up when you get started again, all that stuff, and I'll get your information out. But hey, like I said, on behalf of Savage, I really appreciate everybody coming through. We have 7 people watching now. We were just hoping to have, we were just hoping to be talking to each other this whole time.
If this would have been on my channel, I probably would have about 2 people in here, but yeah.
So the bottom line is, we'll make sure it's interesting. We know, Savage and I know, we can go into a rabbit hole at, where it's just going to be us two talking until a lot of the people from the development community start coming over. But we want to make sure we're inclusive to everybody. So, so with that, I just want to say, hey, thanks for stopping by, and we're going to end here. So peace.
Peace, everyone.